Hey, what is up? What is up? YouTube gaming family, it is IK right here. Back at it with another video for y'all today. Happy to be back again. Yeah, let's get right into it, man. We have some pretty interesting content to share for the channel. And I got a little, you know, philosophy, conversation just in terms of kind of just talk about stuff. This is primarily going to be talking about a particular just like random thoughts that were on my mind lately. But yeah, let's get right into it, man. We have a pretty good video for today, but before I do that, be sure to hit the like button, do what you got to do, and thank you guys for supporting the channel. So yeah, let's get right into it. Our video topic is pretty good. I'm pretty happy that I'm getting back into the swing of things. My head was having like a massive headache, and I don't know why. But sometimes, like, I just don't feel that the mood of like making videos all the time. Oh, hold on, let me skip that. Yeah, I don't always make. Yeah, I don't always have like the energy to always make videos every single day. But yeah, anytime when I feel like that I have like the energy to do so, then I go out of like my way to just go about, getting things to be complete. So yeah, let's get right into it. For today's video, this is gonna be just like a, just like my, like my personal, opinion type of videos. So for today's topic, we're gonna be talking about YouTube. Is YouTube a plausible career to do as a job? So this has always been a pretty funny conversational topic that I have with like a lot of friends, and including family members too. And this has always been on my mind because for those of you that may not know me, um, I've been on YouTube for quite a long time, and I've been uploading content like ever since I was like, I want to say maybe 15 years old. I want to say 15, at least 15. I was just posting like a lot of like Battlefield, Battlefield 3 gameplay. I remember playing a whole bunch of other games. I mean, like my very first video was just me messing around on a desktop computer. So I wasn't really doing much of anything, but as I got older, I was like personally with me, I was always not the type of guy to do long form content. So I mean, I've always liked doing content just simply for like the fact that when I'm playing video games specifically, I have that competitive mindset to like be very proactive to play video games, and I've always enjoyed playing games however I wanted to. So, in terms of trying to get to that level of like stating like okay, like I really want to like make this into a career and doing something with it, which, that was never to be my mindset initially. I've always looked at YouTube to be that type of like I've always looked at YouTube to be your typical hobby type of thing to do. And granted, to this day, I enjoy making YouTube videos because YouTube videos are like my mental therapy. Where if I have something to kind of like vent out and I don't like something that just happened to me, and I try to keep it as as professional as possible, and I just kind of say what I need to say, but I do it in a very fun manner. Then that's what makes me feel happy because I get to tell you about my particular thoughts about what goes on. So yeah, I mean, honestly, to me personally, like that's just how I think whenever I think about life in general. And I think it's always good to vent out your thoughts, especially going on YouTube. If you're just being smart about it, you're obviously not just going out of like your way, just being dumb, just saying, anything. But, if you want to say what you want to say to kind of express, what you're doing and who you are and how you think about life, that's always like a good place to go. But on top of that, if you can make money doing it, where let's just say if you're just like a big time gamer, and I get it, like certain people out there that make content, they're so fixated to just doing one thing. And I can name, some of like my favorite YouTubers that I enjoy watching. Like, let's just say for League of Legends, like there's YouTubers like you know, like Trick 2G, Professor Akali, Bunny Fufu, or Bunny Fufu. That's his name. Yeah, I forgot like I forgot what his name is, but I mean, if you guys know who I'm talking about, he's a pretty good YouTuber. Double Lift, I like watching him. But if you guys want to go way way back, like like especially like the infancy of YouTube, I like guys like Chris Smooth. I like guys like Rad Brad. I like guys like Nacho. Like yeah, like Nacho. For those of you that don't know who he is, he was a Venezuelan YouTuber. His uh, I'm so sorry. His YouTube profile went by One Cheesy Mofo, so he was always like doing Battlefield content and just like constantly just putting out good Battlefield videos depending on what type of gameplay that he posts. He did like a lot of Battlefield gameplay. I like Maximilian, dude. Maximilian, he was really good back in his heyday, coming out with like a lot of good fighting games, especially with Mortal Kombat. Let's see, Street Fighter. You have, uh, well, I mean, like you had Call of Duty at one point in time, but Maximilian, dude, I'm sorry. Let me pause this. All right, I'm back. So yeah, basically back to what I was saying. Like you had Maximilian, dude, that was doing really good with his content, but then eventually, like his content was specifically focused on one thing to his audience, that being FGC content, and that's where Maximilian, dude, got his claim to fame within the YouTube scene because a lot of people know exactly what he's about in terms of what he has put his videos out there for. So I mean, there's like a whole bunch of videos. Well, I mean, like there's like a whole bunch of other YouTubers that I can go about talking about, like guys like Ali A that did Call of Duty content. Like he was really fun back in the day. There was this one good YouTuber that did really good Mortal Kombat fighting game content along with other fighting games. His name was V Man. V Man, he was so good back in his day, but I don't know what happened with him. I believe he just ended up doing content for Mortal Kombat most likely, and then Injustice. But then after that, he just basically was just like, dude, like I'm not even posting no more. And then I tried actually like reaching out to him to his email, and you know, like to me personally, no disrespect to V Man because I like him, but he has such a smug, like very like weird attitude about like basically stating like okay hey, thank you for reaching out, but if you don't have any particular business inquiries about why you're reaching out to me, then this is not like the email for me to reach at, like yeah, like for me to be reached out to. So I mean personally with me, like I find that to be kind of like disingenuous to the fans that actually support big YouTubers. But I think honestly for me, my big issue that I have with some people is that when you get to a certain level of YouTube fame, a lot of idiots go out of their way changing up their attitude towards their fans. And I don't know if it's just me, but I think YouTube has created that mindset of people to say like I don't need to work as hard in life to get to where I'm at, because yes, you are working a good remote job where you're able to do whatever you want. And the good thing about YouTube is like you don't have to like worry about you being like your own technical like contractor boss per se, because the good thing with YouTube is like you basically get the money to be deducted out of taxes for you to kind of just file that. And then after that, you're just basically filing it as just like a YouTube content creator per se. So all the money that you get out of YouTube, they take the cut as far as like deducting the taxes, and then they just give it to you in terms of like a W-2 form, in which I'm not trying to get into like the whole political thing out of it, but it's just like if you think about it, like YouTube has a really good structure in terms of you don't have to really do much of anything other than just get your tax documentation, and then you can do YouTube literally full time every single day, and that's a good thing, like, like about it. But the downside to it is like when you try to do this full time, the problem with YouTube is like YouTube at one point was paying people a lot of money, where if you got a good load of views, it was mostly due to like the fact that you were actually like putting in work for your channel. And I mean, there were plenty of good YouTube channels out there where people just did like basic stuff. Let's just say they did like children's toys and stuff like that to kind of like promote to families that that have children. Like those people are definitely set for life, but it's not like a one-to-one match to say like these people they're gonna just be fine forever. I mean, take a look at Jake Paul. Like Jake Paul, like at one point in time, was just doing simple YouTube content to kind of just promote himself, where he was a star of his own because he was a Disney actor. In which, honestly, I don't understand why Jake Paul would not do this, but Jake Paul should have just went to Disney, and he would have been a multi-billionaire by that point. But then again, that's a story for another day to talk about Jake Paul, because I got my I have my particular issues with Jake Paul, because he got into some criminal behavior back in the past, back in COVID, where he was like basically with his friends, basically looting stores during the George Floyd political riots. But that's a whole different story that I'll just say that I'll save for another day. But other than that, man, as far as YouTube, like all the big YouTubers nowadays, I can see like a lot of them are having to, you know, be more economical with how they're posting videos, because it's like, I get it. There are YouTubers out there that quote unquote say that they're struggling, and I get it. Like, YouTube is not like, to me personally, like I don't see YouTube to be that type of platform where you could just do this, forever and then you'll just be fine. Like I don't look at YouTube to be like the end all be all. But if you were to like tell me, oh, I'm sorry, let me pause. All right, I'm back. So yeah, basically, like the whole thing about it is like I don't see YouTube to be the end all be all. And the problem with YouTube is that you have a platform that does do you very well, where YouTube is basically your employer. But the thing about YouTube is that you have to be very careful with how you're promoting your content, because the issue with YouTube is that you are being forced by the YouTube management, or the YouTube, I basically call them like the corporate overlords. They limit you based off of how you're supposed to say things online. And if you do one little thing wrong, you get demonetized for whatever reason that happens. And personally, with me, I did not like that, because when YouTube was going through the whole adpocalypse nonsense, they were being so disingenuous with how they're stating that, well, we're going to have to stop, supporting videos of people that say certain things that hurt people's, feelings. Whether, that's something that people didn't like that a person said politically, or just personal life in gender. Yeah, personal things outside of life, just in general. YouTube will go out of its way to censor those channels and to limit those people's, free speech to say whatever people want to say. Or if you like, oh man, like I'm so sorry. Um, just to make things like a little bit easier. If you wait, hold on, let me pause the video. All right, I'm back. So yeah, basically back to what I was saying was that initially when YouTube has started its little adpocalypse nonsense, this was like predating to COVID at least, but any time before then, YouTube was very relaxed. Especially like if you want to go back to like what 2005 or 2006 when YouTube first started out, um, YouTube did pretty well with having to give you opportunities to kind of post your content out there, and you didn't have to really think think really too deep outside of the box with what you wanted to post out, as long as it was viewership friendly. Granted, there were some outliers or some instances where people did do bad things on YouTube. Therefore, they went out of their way to get, you know, get like monetization for their videos. But I think eventually, YouTube, ended up having to penalize that channel anyway. So it's like that's not really the case with every single channel. But nowadays, culturally, with how things are within the internet of people's opinions, whether it's on a social or economic or political level, I think YouTube has gone a direction where it's a lot harder for you to kind of make content where you want to express yourself and actually have fun, to have the mindset of you enjoying something that you want to do, whether it's with other content creators or just friends that in general, as long as it's viewership friendly and you're not going out of your way being stupid and committing some sort of particular dumb dumb stunt on YouTube video just to get clicks and views. So I mean, overall, I think where it stands right now, I mean, YouTube has definitely gotten way worse, but it's for the betterment of where content is being held in terms of in terms of censorship, I think it's not getting any better. So I personally think, in my honest opinion, there should be no reason why YouTube should be censoring anybody. But if somebody does something really stupid where they're kind of posting a YouTube video that they should not be posting, and it oh I'm so sorry. Let me get this video played. All right, yep. I just wanted to switch up with the Mortal Kombat video. All right. Yeah. So basically, back to what I was back to what I was saying. If YouTube goes out of their way, wanting to censor people for having to break the YouTube guidelines, to me personally, it's fine, because if you go out of your way being stupid as a dumb content creator just to get clicks and views, and you pay the price in terms of you losing your channel, or your channel getting a strike or to be suspended due to whatever reason YouTube wants to go against your channel for, I mean, that is very well I should say that's very well permissible for YouTube to do that. But my only issue with YouTube is when they go directly after you for something that you do. Let's just say if I'm playing Mortal Kombat and I show something where there's a fatality being done, and YouTube somehow wants me to censor it because it's a gory game, yet Mortal Kombat is basically designed to be a gory game, then it's I'm not really going to be doing that every single time out. But it's personally with me, you have so many other people that post dumb videos every single day, and they go out of their way, being scot-free with being with being monetized. I mean, it's never always a one-to-one match, but it's just if you at one point, YouTube, that being the company, was going out of its way monetizing people for playing violent video games, and somehow that change where YouTube guidelines have to be updated, where if you play violent video games you need to censor it to use a different video editing structure to censor out gore or anything like that, then I find that to be disingenuous, because it's nobody honestly nobody asked how should I say, nobody asked the content creator to turn that off. And but on top of that, the game is clearly intended for mature audiences only. So it's why should anybody have to waste any of their time having to re-edit a video that they just did, and then they have to go back and try to filter whatever violent, gory stuff that is inside a game. And it's honestly, I just find that to be so weird, because it's you're trying to tell people that they need to like to me personally, I just find it to be terrible. I don't find it to be right for the YouTube audience to go out of their way to deal with something that isn't worth, going through, especially with the content creators that have to put a lot of time and money and effort into making good videos. And for those that like to do long form content like myself, we also have to be careful with particular things that we show, whether if we're playing like a really good game that has some gory impact for it. It's like, okay, like I just find that to be really dumb and just very disingenuous. But I mean, there's plenty of particular YouTubers like this YouTuber, NTC Gaming. Please go subscribe to him. By the way, I also forgot to shout him out earlier in my video. He's a pretty good YouTuber, but by the way, he does a lot of Mortal Kombat Mugen gameplay. If you guys if you guys are particularly interested in that type of gameplay, but yeah, I mean, for YouTubers like this guy, does he have to basically filter out his his content every time he's playing Mortal Kombat? Well, for the most part, it should not have to be like that. But in the particular case of YouTube, YouTube guidelines, according to YouTube's dumb rules, they're having to make people go out of their way to do more work of having to post content that are I should say content that is more fan friendly, and therefore that will be quote unquote censorship like approved. So therefore, you can get paid for your videos. And I think that's really dumb, Like I think YouTube should not be doing that for people that are posting mature audience type of videos. And that's just my personal opinion for that. If you don't like a video based off of its goriness or anything of that manner, then you should not watch it. I mean, personally for me, there's there's a section on YouTube that clearly states that if you watch a video that's not intended for children to watch, then you actually have the ability to enable that setting to state that the video that particular video is not made for children to see. So personally for me, that's just how I see it. You should not tell people what they can or cannot watch on YouTube, or how should I say, YouTube should not have the ability to tell other content creators what they should do for their content if it's not affecting such a large audience where they're like, oh wow, I don't like to see this, blah blah blah. No. If you go out of your way just being disingenuous to say that certain YouTubers that you just personally hate should not be posting content that is quote unquote violent, and that this type of content is not particularly intended for younger audiences, then you should not be watching it. I mean, take a look at Call of Duty. You have so many Call of Duty YouTubers out there that go out of their way playing Call of Duty Warzone, Call of Duty Finest Hour, all these Call of Duties that have been out for years, and people still play them to this day. But yet, are you gonna tell every Call of Duty streamer to be like, hey, you need to filter out your gameplay, otherwise YouTube is gonna be like, oh no, sorry, we're gonna have to basically censor you because you did not, basically you did not work up to our particular guidelines for what you did not do for YouTube guidelines. So that's exactly why YouTube is doing that. So therefore, if you don't do it, then you don't get paid for for the monetization. And I find that to be pretty stupid. I mean, the good thing about YouTube that YouTube has, it in terms of trying to get your particular income. Oh, sorry about that for that particular ad. I forgot I forgot to pause the video in order to skip it. But yeah, but the good thing about YouTube is that what you're able to do in order to kind of, make up for your money that you should have been able to make is that, well, I wouldn't say this is always the best optimal thing to do, but once you man, I'm so sorry today. I'm not able to talk properly. Once you reach a certain threshold for your audience, the good thing is that your audience will be able to, how should I say, your audience will be able to have the ability to subscribe to your channel for YouTube memberships. And the good thing about members is that, let's just say if you buy memberships for a channel, let's just say like your channel is worth, well, as far as subscribers go, because that's what everybody tries to complain about. YouTube subscribers equals more, like, more money per se. Um, let's just say for my channel, I have about 4,600 subscribers. And well, I'll just kind of like go up to like 4.7 subscribers. Yeah, 4.7k subscribers. So we'll have 4,700 subscribers, and let's just say the YouTube membership is $2.99 per, like a per particular member. If I have YouTube memberships for all of those subscribers every single month, where if I am making that type of money from all those subscribers, which this is about at least, excuse me, let me just do the math real quick, and I'll get back to you guys on that. All right, I'm back. So basically, I did a little bit of math here. So what ended up happening was that YouTube memberships can be ranged from certain different price lines. I believe one membership is at least $4.99, but YouTube takes at least 30% of your income, which is really terrible, by the way. But what they do is that they take at least 30%. So $4.99 technically on average leaves you to at least, let's just say $3.63. That's what I'm looking at on this particular website here. If you guys want to go to this website, it's called steamweasels.com. This tells you everything that you need to know about making money for YouTube memberships. So let's just say if I had if I had this amount of subscribers for 4,700 of tier 1 subscribers, which is at, tier 1 membership for $4.99, and then tier 2 is $9.99, and then and then um and then $24.99 for tier 3 memberships. By the way, memberships can be customized too. So if you ever want to do anything like this, if you're like a big YouTuber, I mean, most people probably end up maybe increasing their rates to be higher. But personally for me, like if I'm just like a quote unquote big YouTuber, I would never do anything crazy like that. I would just kind of make it dirt cheap, $4.99, and then I'll make this $9.99, and then if you want tier 3 membership, I'll just make that $15.99. I would not try to run people's, yeah, I personally, with me, personally for me, like if I was like a big YouTuber, I would never go this crazy to do $24.99 for like a tier 3 membership. I would do that if I would be like, okay, I can do like private gaming sessions with like a whole group of friends. Like if I'm playing Mortal Kombat and I got like my tier 3 members, and then, I could have like people do stuff like that with me if I want to play games with them or stuff like that, or just run games with them competitively in like Battlefield 6 or Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Like that would be pretty cool. But let's just say like if I go to like my actual subscriber count, which is at least 4.5, I'm going to say 4,500. And I calculate that. If I get all that money with the amount of people that can give me that money every month, that is at least $15,719 every month for 4,500 subscribers for the tier 1 membership. So to me personally, that's really good, because that means that the good thing about YouTube is like if you're not able to get monetized, but you actually have like a good amount of support where people can actually give you that particular membership, in which I'm actually going to just do the math on my own calculator on my computer to say let's just say if I had like 1,000, like 1,000 people supporting you of buying your tier 1 membership, which is $4.99, but you're actually making $3.63 off of that membership after YouTube takes their cut to tax you. That actually leaves you to about $3,630, which is pretty good. But let's just say without the 14,000 and change if you were to get paid for all 4,500 subscribers that you have. That'll give you 14,000 every month, but I think also on top of that, YouTube probably maybe takes like more deduction out of that. But let's just say in general, if you were able to have that type of money coming in, and let's just say like for the big YouTubers that have like millions of subscribers, that's a lot of support. Like that's really big, and on top of that, you're kind of like helping yourself out to get to a higher level of being successful. So to me personally, I find that to be really effective. And I think YouTube had done itself a really good job to actually give creators the ability to do something like that. I do remember that there was something similar to that, but I think you actually had to subscribe to somebody by paying them a certain rate to be subscribed to them. But I don't think that was ever to be the case, because it's like, for the most part, the good thing about YouTube is like, if you like a channel and you want to subscribe to it, you're able to do whatever you want with having to make the decision of going out of like your way to support somebody that you do like. And YouTube has always done a good job. Oh, excuse me for that. Sorry. YouTube has always done a good job with giving you the ability to like your creators, or just like, content creators, or just YouTube channel producers. Like, they've always done a good job with giving you good recommendations for channels that actually make sense. Now, for channels that actually just run their mouth and then they're being stupid to just get views, those channels were never to be good channels to begin with. And I always end up having to look at those channels to be grifters. So that's always been like my biggest issue with YouTube. Whenever small channels are actually trying to do good in the YouTube space, what ends up happening to them is that they're having to work 10 times harder for the amount of content that a bigger channel does not have to work as hard for. And then the bigger channel doesn't really have much, how should I say, they don't have much worry about anything happening to their channels, because if they have enough like clout to kind of say something like off the wall, out of out of context, that could like trigger somebody to hear what, what they say, then that's where like YouTube gives like a pass when it comes to censorship. But it's like, depending on like what the individual does say, and based off of what the content that was to be explained, YouTube doesn't really do like a good job per se with like how they handle censorship, like, within the community. Because it's like, I think like the censorship thing is, it's like a little bit overboard. Like, people should kind of do whatever they want to do, but if they say something out of line and out of character, in a video, or basically in a live stream, where a lot of, the big time YouTube live streamers, they do say a kind of, not everybody, but some people just say some really weird stuff online that does not make any sense of like why they would say that, or they just do certain things online where, if they know that they're doing something dumb, and it's like Twitch level stupid, where you have like dumb young people doing stupid things online that could like get them banned, or more so get some like particular legal trouble in like what they say or do. Yeah, I don't think that's always like a good thing to do, but I mean, you have people like that in the world that actually think that it's okay to kind of be dumb. But I understand like why YouTube kind of does what they do, but they should only do it to people that actually do some really bad things. And if they're doing really stupid things out of their own way to be, idiotic, then they should get punished for it. I mean, that's just how it should be. But if you're just playing a video game, and let's just say like you have like one part of it, the game, where it says something like inappropriate, like that should not be censored. Like, it should be part of what the guideline to state that if you're playing a game that is fair use, and let's just say minus from something that's considered inappropriate in a game, knowing that the game is supposed to be rated M for mature, for quote unquote mature audiences that are at least 17 years or older. Let's just say if you're playing a game that has copyrighted content on top of that, that's also screwed up too, because it's like, the issue with YouTube is like, if you do one little thing that the YouTube guidelines are to, air you off of, what ends up happening is that you go out of like your way having to screw up more because YouTube does not notify you, but then on top of that, they try to screw you over more to make things a lot more difficult in terms of, how you're able to use like your content, like how should I say, like effectively. So it's not fair to you because you're having to, go out of like your way, trying to make content that is like fan friendly. But the issue is that, not every piece of content is always going to be, how should I say, fan friendly. There's always going to be something out there where if somebody doesn't like something, they're going to just bring it up to YouTube to say, oh, I think this content is so inappropriate to my feelings, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you do everything in your power to kind of just say whatever you want to say. And I think like the hardest type of content that YouTube tries to do like a really crappy job on trying to like basically censor people would be like the political content, because the issue is like with the political content, you're not really able to kind of do what you want to do and kind of say things to properly express certain things however you want to go. And I get that, like, everybody's going to be like, very polarized with like what you say. But it's like, think about it. Like people that have to stream every single day just to kind of keep their audience going. But if you don't say like a certain thing that YouTube doesn't like you, like basically they don't like you for saying, they will go out of like their way to try to censor you because, based off of if you're doing something that is fair use, YouTube tries to penalize you for basically saying like, oh well, you didn't say this, the right way, so therefore, you can't get like your money off of like a 500,000 view type of video. And let's just say if you're doing like video reactions too, that's always like the worst videos ever. Those videos are even harder to even get monetized as well, because when you're trying to do like your best to actually just express how you feel with like a certain video, it's like YouTube will still try to find any little thing possible to say that, oh well, like you didn't cut this part out or you didn't cut that part out. And I think like honestly, for copyright, for me personally, I am very libertarian, against copyright. So, I'm very for like getting rid of copyright, where in a world where copyright just doesn't exist and you can just kind of do whatever like you want in a video, where, let's just say if I just want to play some like Snoop Dogg, in a live stream, and then I could just jam out to that all day, I would do it. It's just that the problem is that it's very difficult for you to kind of play Snoop Dogg on, like, Snoop Dogg music in a live stream, and then on top of that, if you even want to use like certain clips out of like a Snoop Dogg movie, or like let's just say Snoop Dogg particular, how should I say it, like anything in particular that you want to do, that's always going to trigger YouTube to be like, oh no, 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 this isn't something that we want to see, blah blah blah. So, if you do something like that, then therefore you have to pay the price in terms of you got to edit out the video in order for something to not go out of its way to be considered good or bad. And therefore, you have to like waste more time having to just re-edit something that shouldn't have never to be edited in the first place. But it's like YouTube tries to make it like, basically they try to make it super hard for you, so therefore you don't even have like the ability to basically express yourself. Hold on, let me change up what the. All right, I'm back. So yeah, that's pretty much like the whole issue with YouTube. Um, if you like personally with me, if you ever are that type of person to say no, you can make a living off of YouTube per se, and you're able to do whatever you want. That's never to be the case. YouTube will do anything out of their own way to kind of make things difficult for you. And on top of that, YouTube does take at least 30% of your income, before you even see like your paycheck. And then on top of that, you actually have to wait like a whole full month before you even get, like your actual money being sent to you directly to YouTube, well, directly from YouTube. So the problem is that, it's like, I wouldn't say it's worse than working like an actual job, but you have to like be really smart with like how you're prioritizing your job, like how should I say, like your finances like your finances per se. So it's not always going to be a one-to-one match where you're going to just get money coming in directly. I mean, the good thing is that your YouTube memberships could also help too. But I'm not too sure how consistent that is with you getting the money. So if that means that you're not really getting the money all the way directly, then I don't think that's always the case, that YouTube is always like the best place to go. But I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, there's always great opportunities to go with actual standard jobs, but I mean, if you're like that type of guy where you like to just go out of your way and just like travel, and you want to kind of do something where you just want to enjoy, you know, doing what you want to do. Oh, like I'm sorry about that for the ad. If you want to do whatever you want to do and just make content to kind of just do what you do and just kind of like have a good time, you know, that's always like a good career to have. But the problem is like you got to grind real hard. You have to like go out of like your way to do something where not a lot of people go out of like their way doing, but it's you know, it's like a really big time focus in terms of how you're able to prioritize like yourself. And you know, the problem with YouTube is that you have to take a lot of big risk in terms of how everything is to be prioritized. So I mean, that's just how I see it. You know, take a look at YouTubers like Joel Hansen. You know, he's like a professional food eater, or he's like a food reviewer slash professional food eater off of YouTube. And I mean, like, he has probably maybe like multiple things to kind of do with how he kind of like promotes himself in terms of, you know, getting money. I do know that he goes to like restaurants and then people pay him, you know, from the like you know, from the restaurant alone that he goes to kind of like do like a food review slash, you know, like I guess like a YouTube eating challenge per se, which I find that to be really good. I think the problem with that per se is like you know, one, like you're kind of just going out of like your way, you know, eating a lot of food and possibly getting sick. So I don't know. Personally for me, I think, you know, I think it's always good to kind of like chase like your dreams, to kind of do whatever you want to do. But the problem with anything that you do with YouTube, you kind of have to wait on YouTube to kind of make that decision for them to give you the opportunity to get paid. And I think YouTube is pretty disingenuous with how they monetize, you know, their creators or just any content producer. So it's like, if you just look at like all the big channels, like let's just say, I don't even know, like I could even just talk about just like regular videos that big channels do. Like, I guess personally, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Personally, when it just comes to like channels like Chris Smooth, uh, that fighting game, like that fighting game YouTuber Super, all these big channels that constantly upload their content to quote unquote get the money. They have to be very consistent, and you have to kind of just do what you have to do to kind of be at that level of getting that money. But on top of that, the views have to be up there too. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, especially on YouTube, like, you know, YouTube does pretty good with like the viewership gain, especially with like YouTube Shorts. The YouTube Shorts thing has really evolved YouTube to become way better. But the only problem with YouTube Shorts is that you don't get all this particular money where YouTube is having to pay you, you know, like a huge like amount of money per se. Because the thing is that I think they pay you like, I want to say a few cents, you know, to the dollar, depending on how much money is being generated with the ads. And then on top of that, you know, they don't really give you that money directly. So, I mean, like, the thing is like YouTube would have to put, well, I'm pretty sure they take the 30%. because YouTube gets their cut. So YouTube is gonna tax it, or YouTube's gonna use like the government guidelines to have it be taxed, and then like that money will just be added on top of like your particular income in terms of how much money that you have made off of YouTube Shorts. But the good thing like about it is like that will add up more over time, where if that does contribute to like a bigger particular, oh, like I'm so sorry. Yeah, if that contributes to a bigger refund that you do get off of a particular tax return, I mean, that's always good. But it's just like at the end of the day, YouTube is not a full supplemental income type of job, and it's really difficult for you to kind of go out of like your way to kind of get that type of money. And a lot of people think like, oh well, you can just do that by just making like a whole bunch of videos and then you'll just be fine. And that's not always to be like the case. You have to be very consistent with how you use I should say, you have to be very consistent with utilizing certain means of bringing your fans. Wait, hold on, let me. All right, I'm back. So yeah, basically, um, just to kind of like make things a little bit easier to kind of finalize what I was having to say. Um, YouTube is not a full-time supplemental income job. It is technically like be your own type of boss, self-employed type of job. The only downside to it is like, you probably very well don't have like a lot of money to kind of fund for your own benefits. If you're starting out kind of like mid-tier or small per se. I mean, small YouTube channels can basically be channels like myself that only have maybe like a few thousand subscribers, or let's just say those that have like maybe up to 50,000 subscribers or less, or maybe like a little bit more. I'll probably maybe go up to maybe like 70K, 80K. But it's like past that and going up to like 100,000 or higher, it's a big channel. But it's like it's not that big, because getting the subscribers do mean something. Um, your subscribers do give you income, but the problem is that you have to be really really good with having to kind of like do what you need to do to kind of get yourself to that level of getting that type of money. So if you want to make big money off of YouTube, you have to actually be consistent with your videos like 9 times out of 10. But you have like a lot of weird people that will tell you, well, no man, YouTube can give you big money and blah blah blah, and you can get up there. But the truth of what the matter is, that's not always true. You have to really think outside of the box, because even if you did get like even if you did get a lot of money, it still does not equate to you getting like a full-time supplemental job where you're able to just work as many hours as you possibly can. And granted, your employer will never always give you that money. That is very true. I will be in agreement with people to say like, why work a 9 to 5 when you could just do YouTube, and then YouTube can just give you like your money directly. But the problem with that is that YouTube is not consistent. YouTube can try to hold you back, and you may not always get like the same like amount of money, where if you are so used to making a couple $1,000s each month, you're probably making half of that. And that's not particularly giving you the ability to break even. So to me, I just don't find that to be smart. I think a lot of people need to kind of like rethink their idea for YouTube. I think YouTube is a great side income type of job. If you make good money at your job and YouTube is just there for you to kind of make extra money, then use that money to just invest it. Or if you want to use it to just buy whatever you want, you can do that. Like, nobody's not telling you that you can't do YouTube. It's just like, don't expect YouTube to be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna get thousands of views that quick. And granted, you can promote your channel very very big, because I will tell you guys, with this channel, I was like literally not on anybody's particular radar, when I was like putting out videos. But when I did like my little like PS2 video on like how to like basically on how to, well, I think it was like the PS3 video, like how to install a PS3 hard drive type of video. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me pause that. Yeah. So back to what I was saying. Like when I did that video on how to install like your PS3 hard drive, what ended up happening was that I basically ended up going out of like my way where I pretty much had stated that um like like in order to install the PS3, you had to go through these type of parameters in order to clear out the quote unquote hard drive disk to like basically partition it and all that. I pretty much did what I had to do, but furthermore, it was just more like, I pretty much kept it simple. I might have to do like a better updated video on it because some people were not actually hearing me properly and they weren't able to listen to me properly. So I'll do a updated video for you guys, for anybody that was having to comment down below on that. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm very sorry. But yeah, I mean, pretty much even for a video like that, I I know that I think I hit like 7,000 or 8,000 views on that particular video. I think it was like 10,000 views. I forgot. But I'll even use like my YouTube shorts. Like my most famous YouTube short video that I have right now is my boxing YouTube short that has like over like 1.6 million views, where I basically had like a video titled when boxing trash talk. Yeah, I think it's titled as when trash talking in boxing goes wrong or something like that. So I basically just had like a video where some black dude, I think he was like a dark skinned guy, he was trying to like beef with like another black guy, and I know what the short black guy's name of like who knocked the other guy out. His name was Marcos Quiones, I think that was his name. He was like some black fighter down in Georgia. But yeah, he knocked that guy out, and that was like a brutal knockout. But he that video alone had gotten me 1.6 million views, and I didn't even need to do anything because that was just like a video that I saw off of Instagram or somewhere else. So I mean, even for like a video like that, that's really amazing because it's like I don't have to do anything, but just kind of express certain videos that makes people happy. But on top of that, it's just good for the fans because people that love boxing, they will see that and be like, oh wow, that's really cool. Like some dude knocked out another guy, and that other guy was talking a bunch of like a bunch of crap at the weigh-in, and then he got his ass knocked out. So that's always pretty funny. So I find that to be pretty good for the audience. And then I have like another, I had another YouTube short talking about Devin Haney when he actually had a video talking about Shakur Stevenson. That did like, I think like 250,000 views off of that one particular YouTube short. So yeah, like dude, like YouTube shorts are really good for the YouTube audience because one, it like for one, it gets people engaged to your channel, but two, it's great promotion. Like that's the good thing about YouTube shorts. So that's one thing that I definitely appreciate out of YouTube per se. They do a pretty good job with kind of giving you that ability to kind of just promote your channel, and then on top of that, you're able to grow faster. So versus like back in like the old days, you weren't able to really do that per se. So you kind of had to like grind your way through to kind of make good videos, and then people would like you. So now that YouTube has evolved and you're able to promote your channel way faster, that's really good. It's just that the problem is economically, YouTube is not the place for you to just make hyper income and just expect something to just possibly stick. Like you actually have to be really consistent with it. And granted, I've made some good money off of YouTube, but the reality is like if you really want to make something happen out of YouTube, you best would use it as like a supplemental income, because even if you had millions of views every single time out, that does not constitute you being a rich YouTuber. Even the most biggest YouTube channels probably don't even make all that money in the world. But let's just say if they're getting like millions of views like every single video that they have, it's still good, but it's like don't expect them to say like, "Oh, hey guys, just get into being a YouTuber and then you'll just be fine." So no, that's just pretty much what I have to say on that. I hope you guys I hope you guys understand that. Like for me personally, like my whole goal is like I want to get to my own career for IT, for cybersecurity and all that. But if I were to have any good channel out there and I was getting millions of views and I still worked a good high paying job, I would stick with getting paid, you know, good money at my job, but I would rather work, you know, remotely, or I could just run my own company where I'd like to just do my own thing in IT and just live my life and go. Like that's what I would do. So I personally would not want to waste any time for that. So that's just my personal like opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Like if you guys had a YouTube channel that was that big, like Mr. Beast or Ali A or any of these big YouTubers that definitely worked their butts off to kind of get to where they're at, do you think you would just stay at being a full-time YouTuber or not? So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say, guys. You know, that's pretty much what I had to express. You know, one more thing I've always wanted to say about getting paid off of like YouTube, you don't get your money right away. You have to wait until at the end of like the month per se, and I kind of wish that wasn't to always be like the case. I kind of wish YouTube did not do that to you. They should kind of just make it simple where, you know, you're not having to kind of struggle with you know, having to like wait for your income. So, I mean, that's just my personal viewpoint off of that. But yeah, hopefully YouTube they can get better. If you got paid directly like right away when you actually have money going to like your balance per se, that'd be pretty good. If they just made it simple, if you had like money to be sent to your bank account within like 2 to 3 business days, that'd be pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later. Got more videos coming out, and hope you guys enjoy the content. And peace out. And this is KRS7435. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Have a good night.